Hello folks, coming up next is something interesting. What are some common facts that people believe to be true even if the existing evidence states the contrary? A lot of people think they can burn belly fat by doing crunches or slim their arms down by doing push-ups, but targeted fat loss isn't possible and there's no evidence to suggest it is. Yeah, ab workouts just build up your core muscle and burn calories. The kitchen is where you lose the belly fat. Noted. Do abs in the kitchen. Instructions unclear, house caught on fire trying to burn calories in the kitchen. You can tap a block to see if it is loose in Jenga, which is stated quite explicitly in the rules, and duck you everyone who said I couldn't. It's not out until it's free of the system or it falls. I remember you can even try to put it back before it's out to try a different one. Maybe that's house rules, though. The most violent arguments I've had have been convincing patients with a viral cold that they don't need antibiotics. I remember a documentary a few years back about a GP's practice here in the UK. Basically filming patients, with their permission, to show a day-to-day. They literally had people come in and answer "What's the matter today?" with "I need some antibiotics." They didn't even elaborate on why, just "I need some antibiotics." A person drowning is not likely to be flailing wildly and yelling like in the movies. Drowning can often happen with mostly silence, especially with kids. Read up on the signs, it might save a life. One was drowning and lost consciousness when I was 5, I was told I barely made a sound. I went under, sucked in lungs full of water when I tried to cry out in surprise and blacked out. If it wasn't for my dad's instincts and quick action I'd be dead. That 30 used to be considered ancient back when the average lifespan was 25 or whatever. The average is offset by a huge number of child deaths. 30 was never ancient. Even hunter-gatherer societies had people routinely living into their 60s. Piggybacking off this, that girls were married off in their early teens in the medieval period. This is based off the nobility and royalty, who did marry off their young daughters as a political tool to secure alliances. However, even when the young royals were only 12 or 13 when wed, they were often married by proxy and married in name only. The married couple were often kept separate until either the girl came of age, aka got her first period to produce children, or were just deemed old enough to start living together in the same castle, which wasn't until around 17 to 20 years old. The vast majority, like the peasantry, weren't married until their early 20s. Women in the peasantry often did have a choice on who they got to marry, unlike their noble components who were used as bargaining chips. Cracking your knuckles too often will give you arthritis. Nope. No conclusive study has ever backed this up. It just releases the gas from the synovial fluid in your joints, which is neither good nor bad. There is in fact a guy who spent 60 years cracking the knuckles on his left hand twice daily, and there was no resulting difference in his hands. Yup. I think there are even pictures. I always heard cracking them would make them bigger. It is rarely necessary to wait 24 hours before filing a missing person report. Yup. Our Poils has this listed on their Facebook page as a common myth. Someone really needs to let Hollywood know. Oh, there are so many things that someone needs to let Hollywood know. Vikings never actually drank from skulls of enemies. This was based on a mistranslation of Old Norse poetry in which they refer to drinking from horns. They never had horns on their helmets either. Even as a kid, I thought that would be wildly inconvenient. The enemy could knock the helmet off of you super easily. I always figured it'd get caught on things. Doors. Sails. People's heads when you turn around too fast. That if you touch a baby animal, like a bird or rabbit, its mother will neglect it and it will die. That is a myth. It was just a way for parents to get their kids to leave baby animals alone. Yeah, a few weeks ago, a baby bird fell out of its nest in our backyard. It survived and my dad was going to put it out of its misery until I told him that this myth wasn't true. We put it in a cardboard box on the table closest to its tree with some food and water and just left it alone. Its parents found it the next day and were bringing it food, and within a couple of days, it was gone. Lightning never strikes twice in the same place. In fact it does, and frequently. You don't want to be there when it happens. If it didn't, lightning rods would be useless. You don't replace your lightning rod after each strike? People often confuse an independent media for an unbiased one. Unbiased news media simply does not exist. The only unbiased media you can have is a dry statement of facts, like a Wikipedia article. Even then, simply choosing what to cover can contain bias. There is media that supports the current capitalist status quo. There is media which supports the right wing. There is socialist media. There is media which serves a multitude of special interests. But media is always written for a reason, even if it's a benign one, like your local paper. The real question is, what is the underlying analysis of this media, and is that analysis correct? You can shove a million Fox News articles in my face. It's not fair and balanced for me to read one every day, just to get a range of sources. Their analysis is 95% bullcrap and that never changes. The most people only use 10% of their brain's capacity thing. Utterly ridiculous. The brain is a giant, metabolically expensive, staggeringly complex structure. Why on earth would our bodies grow something like that and then not use it? Neurons fired at once, that would be extremely bad. The thing to bear in mind is that different areas and structures of the brain are highly specialized for certain tasks. Talking about an overall brain capacity is misleading. There are no unused areas of the brain. You're almost certainly right. But it just makes me think of my friend that bought a 2,500 pounds MacBook and only uses it for Word and web browsing. Don't worry, that just means that it's tiny. That shampoo has to make bubbles to be effective. Bubbles are artificially added just to let you know that you are doing a good job at cleaning your hair, and because you wouldn't buy a shampoo that doesn't foam now, would you? Also, it doesn't have to taste that bad, not that I tried. Flavors and vomitives are added to prevent accidental poisoning. Lot of surfactant is added for the sole purpose of marketing, despite the fact that they are irritating, for your eyes in particular. The source for that is a French vulgarization comic turned mini-series called Tu m'auras moi bête mais tu m'auras con meme. As for the vomitives, emetics, it's from when I toured a cosmetic factory. Now that I think of it, maybe it was only for products meant for children? Either way, shampoo tastes bad, whether it makes you vomit or not. Also, thanks for my first tip. That Einstein was a bad student, and was bad at math. It's just not true. He got average high marks, and was really just disdainful of the structure of school. And he was good at math. Physics is like 90% math. I get why people share it, it's to make struggling students feel better about themselves, but can't we tell them about something else instead of lying? Just show them the salary of a plumber or welder compared to their teacher's salary. That ought to cheer them up. Your heart stops when you sneeze. I mean, have you seen my dad sneeze? No wonder the heart needs a break. Dad sneezes are a different game. Dads, I love sneezing. The sensation of it is just freaking amazing, and I get excited whenever I feel like I'm about to sneeze. That nose wiggle building up to the final nose explosion is just so ducking freeing. It's like I'm taking off a pair of tight jeans after a long day. Effing facially orgasmic. I wish I could sneeze more. A few people still believe that opening windows before a tornado to even the pressure will save their house from damage. Some also still believe trailer parks attract tornadoes and that random sacred landmarks can protect cities from tornadoes. The first part of that does have some merit though. Opening up all your windows will effectively reduce the total force being exerted on the walls from the outside winds, since some of that airflow is allowed to pass through the wall instead of acting upon it. However, considering how strong the winds are in a tornado and how small most windows are, the effect may as well be irrelevant. Opening your windows to reduce the damage from the winds of a tornado is probably about as effective as planting shrubbery to reduce the damage from an oncoming avalanche. If the police arrest you and do not read your rights, the case will automatically be thrown out. That only invalidates any interrogation they conduct. To piggyback, that police have to read you your Miranda rights. Miranda only comes into play for questioning. If they don't want to ask you any questions, they don't have to read Miranda. When you swallow gum, it stays in your body for 7 years. I'm guessing this was made up by parents to keep kids from swallowing bubble gum? Though I'm not really sure why that would be a problem. Choking hazard maybe? It's entirely possible it was literally made up by a news organization that didn't have a story that day. The whole toilet paper situation started just because a random news show in Australia decided to run the story. The story caused people all over the world to believe toilet paper was running out, so they went and ensured exactly that by buying it all, and then trying to return it when they realized how stupid the idea is. Lol. Also, that viral fact that you eat 7 spiders in your sleep every year? Disinformation created to prove that people will believe anything they hear. That's some sensational edit. If you're about to comment about why I'm wrong, trust me, someone already said the exact thing you're thinking of typing right now. Stop please. Cutting your facial hair makes it grow in thicker. I had a full-on argument with an individual who firmly believed that genetics played no possible role in hair growth whatsoever. I have never been more perplexed or angry in my entire life. Sincerely, Bald at 25. I'm a master esthetician and I've studied hair growth, and I can confirm, shaving/waxing/plucking does not make more hair grow thicker nor longer. The reason for this misconception is when you shave, it makes the tip of the hair blunt, so when that protrudes from the follicle, it appears to be thicker. The only change in hair texture/thickness/length/etc. occurs in the papillae, hair root, which is completely determined by hormones. What would have been your answer or question? Leave it in the comments below. Slap that like and subscribe button for more, and check out the link in the video description for even more answers. Peace out, and catch you in the next video.